the longest.
I won't lie, I have been known to change in my car as well. And I remember the last time I changed in my car was because I had 3 speaking gigs in one day, and I had to drive from Dublin to Donegal, and I did 2 gigs in Dublin, and then I drove to Donegal, and I had like about 3 or 4 minutes before I should be there, and I didn't even have time to check into the hotel. I was just in the back seat of the car going off, what are you gonna do? It's like, well, funny if I get arrested for this, and the audience inside is waiting for the speaker to walk in. But okay, so we're live. Hi everyone, welcome Miguel, welcome Megha. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to have a conversation with me. This is part of the speaker challenge that I've been doing, the Fearless Fortune Speaker Challenge all week. It's been amazing. I've been like speaking all week, basically. It's like doing 5 hour-long talks back to back on my favorite topic, which has been speaking. And I wanted to pull you guys in to talk about your genius when it comes to speaking and business for the people that have been in the challenge and just in general, because I don't think that the world knows enough about you guys. So this is an opportunity to share more about what you do. So I want you guys to introduce yourselves, and then we're going to dive into a conversation and just see where we go. So Miguel, let's start with you, the guy who's just changing in his car. Sorry.
Well, put me on the spot, huh? Well, as you know, I'm a gentleman, and I will allow Megha to go first.
Oh, please. A punt. We're going for a punt. Okay. All right, fine. I was good at impromptu speaking when I was in Toastmasters many years ago. My name is Megha Bradley, obviously, by the name on the screen.
Toastmasters. You did Toastmasters.
Many years ago, however, I could probably go back for a round of ahs and ums training, and yeah.
Yeah, I'd say they'd kick me out because I speak so really fast. The same way, you're going to need at least 5 years to tone this down or something.
Yes, I used to do speaking competitions in high school. So yes, me and speaking go back a long ways. What I do in the world is I help people attract more abundance to their life. That seems to be the most popular trend, but I also help them break generational contracts and beliefs and agreements that have been running their lives and their families' lives for a long time. So I like to say I build rebels. I get to allow the space for people to literally decide that they want to rewrite the story and vote themselves off the islands they've been on for a really long time. Miguel, now
awesome. Well, I'm not as trained as Megha. I did not do Toastmasters, but I'll give it a try. My name is Miguel Sanchez. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have started several businesses since I came to America. One thing that I realized when I started on the self-development space, that most speakers, when they get on the stage, they are so eager to deliver content after content after content, and just pour content on people and put them to sleep. And I realized the importance of delivering a message. It is powerful when you tell your story from a place of love, from a place of compassion, instead of just trying to sell something to your audience. Most people, they know when they are being sold to. How about taking the time to entertain, but most of all, touch their heart and talk to them and have a conversation with them? And then you have a whole bunch of people flocking to your table, buying your product or signing to whatever link you. So as we know, times have changed. So they come and you put your link, and you have people trying to buy from you or connect with you. And I started teaching people how to tell their story from a place of love, so they can connect with their audience and have more impactful message as when they speak.
I love that. I mean, I feel that in my heart already. Miguel and Megha, you guys have to talk for a second because I realized I didn't do one setting. So you guys just chat for a second. Megha,
okay.
ask something about what he just said and give me 2 seconds till I sort this out.
¿Me pasa ahora, por
favor? I'm going to ask you in English, not Spanish. No.
Practice your Spanish. This is your
practicing. Hola, Miguel, ¿cómo estás? So I relate with what you're saying, Miguel, because I know that many times when I share my journey, and I know that you and I have had conversations about this, that it's often people come back and tell me that oftentimes on Facebook, for example, and or at events, they'll come up to me and say, you know, thank you for sharing it, because it actually gave me permission to realize that I could feel into my own space, because many times, unless we hear someone speak about something, we don't know that that we have permission to speak about it.
Right.
It's like, shh, don't talk.
So you know, and you're absolutely right. Most people think that when you get on stage, you can be soft. You can talk. Sometimes nobody wants to talk religion, or nobody wants to talk about their God or whatever they worship, because they're afraid they're going to push people out. But when you step out and do that from a place of love, you're using a sifter, and all the ones that are not meant to be your clients, they're gonna and my prayer is they go find where they fit and they're gonna be helped.
Right.
Because obviously I'm not the one, and that's okay. And being honest with yourself when you tell your story, being comfortable with your story, being vulnerable when you tell your story, it's a very powerful place to be.
Yeah.
Keep going. I'm enjoying this conversation. I'm like a fly on the wall on my own life here. You know, I clicked the wrong group, so it was going live into the wrong group. It wasn't going live into the challenge group. But it turns out you can do all of these things live. So thank you so much for keeping it going. So let me just make sure that it is live here. Keep talking. I'm enjoying
well, you know, this is where the extemporaneous speaking part comes in, and from Toastmasters experience. So the thing that I know to be true is that many times it can be, I know for myself, there's many times that I often hesitate to speak up as much as I am called to. Have more people go, Megha, you should speak more. And I will tend to be like, oh, but they're going to throw stones at me. And I also know that that's part of the parts of what I do related to understanding the subconscious and your gifts and your shadows. And those play into your visibility as a speaker. So it's important to know. And I also am noticing all my ums and so's because I mentioned that at the beginning of the call.
Why did you have to bring Toastmasters into this?
I know, right?
No offense to Toastmasters. We love Toastmasters. That's not it. But see what you just said there about throwing stones. Like, that's how I felt when I got on stage first, like 5, 6, 7 years ago. I was like, and you know, what is it they say? You know, it's all in your body. I don't know what that saying is, but the issues are in the tissues, right? Because my whole body was like doing shit that I was just like, my head was kind of going, what are you doing? I'm okay up here. And they're like, oh, you know, it's like all going crazy. Because I was always afraid that somebody was going to tell me to shut up. And as you say, throw a stone at me and say, get out of here. You don't want to hear what you've got to say. And that is such a real thing for people. And it really, I think this is probably one of the biggest reasons. I know people will probably say, I don't know what to say. Nobody wants to book me. But, you know, this fear of an unconscious fear as well, that it's just preventing them from getting on stage. What do you think, Miguel?
Oh, well, definitely. One of the things that when I talked to Megha, I don't know if you remember, Megha, that was one of your obstacles, one of your challenges, talking about your faith and letting your faith out. And like I said earlier, when you dare to be vulnerable, it's such a powerful place to be, because you allow other people, you grant them permission to be. Most people are waiting for the permission to be. Most people are waiting for I speak to people daily, and they're waiting for the permission to talk about God, or to say how God helped them, because they're afraid that if they do, they may not attract as many customers, as many clients. But like I said, it's a sifter. You put in every through a sifter, and the ones that stay, the ones that hear your message, the want to hear your message, those are your ideal clients.
Mm-hmm. And this is where, you know, everybody gets worried about getting on stage and trying to please everybody that's there, right? Huge mistake. So it is. So just 1 second. There's like, you guys, whoever's watching, we can't see who's watching, but there's a little note on top saying a privacy note from StreamYard. If you click that, then you can comment and you can be in the conversation with us. I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Who is it? I don't know who it is, so that would be nice to know. I'm Maureen Alher. I'm here with Miguel Sanchez and Megha Bradley, and we all work together in one of my speaker programs. And I've just wrapped up a week of training for it was called the Fearless Fortune Speaker Challenge. And I'm just doing this session just to kind of tie it all together. Miguel's a master storyteller, a serial entrepreneur, and an all-around amazing human being that I absolutely love. And Megha Bradley equally. I've known Megha for like 8 years. We collaborated on many projects, and now we're doing more together. And Megha is just amazing at clearing those blocks that would get you on stage, help you make more money, you know, help you have the relationship, whatever it is that's getting on your way. So this is a really, really juicy conversation we're having now. So please, if you want to get involved, please do ask us a question, comment, disagree, which is always quite cool to do, and speak up, right? We're talking about speaking, we're talking about story, we're talking about things that hold us back. So yeah, so do get involved. We'd love to hear from you. I lost my chain of thought because the conversation was going somewhere there, and then I what were we saying just before that? Help me out.
Oh, well, you expect the mom of 2 kids to remember? I don't know. You know, we pick up right where we're supposed to. So I think that mainly Miguel was speaking about the fact that we had a conversation that, to me, you know, unfortunately, God is the 3-letter cuss word, and many times in our world, people will hide, whether it's God, whether it's, you know, whatever particular beliefs, their gender identity. Like, there's so many things people will be, oh no, I can't share that. I can't speak who I am, who I truly am. I have to gloss it to be accepted by whomever it is that they think they're trying to please. And that's where I said earlier about I build rebels, because when you become truly self-actualized, I think that, you know, many human beings never make it to the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, to self-actualization. And most stay down in survival. And when you are speaking on a stage and you're operating in survival, or you're operating in fear of acceptance and the need of acceptance of others, you aren't giving the most powerful speech that you can give. You're giving the speech that you think needs to be delivered. And there is a point. Now, of course, inside of my human design, which is one of the things I do, I am a conscious heretic. I am willing to say the thing that most people are thinking, but we're afraid to say. And I think that that's one of the things, regardless of what your particular human design is, but when you have the ability to speak what others need articulation about, the idea and the thought, and you're willing to say it, you give them voice, and then you build your movement.
Totally. And it's, you know, it's that moment, and I know everybody's going to relate to this, when you're at an event or you're at a conference or you're in some sort of group and something is said, and you know you've got something to say, and it's that moment where you go, and you just go put your hands up. You know that one?
Yeah.
And then like somebody comes and then they say the thing, like, damn it, I wanted to say that, you know? And I made a decision that if I was ever at an event and I wanted to say something, that I had a conversation with my right arm, and I was like, listen, you're going to be the most enthusiastic arm in the place, okay? No conversation going on here. If you feel a move, you take over, right? And it never fails that if I'm somewhere and I want if somebody says, does anybody got any questions? And I'm like, you know, and my hand just goes right up. You always get picked. You always get picked, because like nobody's hand goes up like that.
Not this one. All right, everybody practice. This is
conversation with your right arm on that one.
Saturday exercise. Get the arm up.
There you go.
Up.
There's a solution for everything, right?
Yep.
And
I like that.
Just to pick up on what you're saying there, Megha, and this is where you come in, Miguel, because you're all about helping people create that story that's really going to, you know, capture people's hearts and really capture the point of the story, the heart of the story, right? And it is all of that stuff that people don't want to say, and they think, oh, nobody would be interested in that, right?
Well, definitely. I truly believe that when you step out and you speak from a place of love and a place of vulnerability, you grant people permission, as I said earlier. However, most people they have not made peace with their past. They have not made peace with their story. So they start conflicted. They're so conflicted inside. So I believe what we're going to be able to offer these people on this program that you have created is that we're going to help them craft their story and go back and find that place where either they transition or there was a pace of challenge and they overcome. And that's when you find your signature story, that every time you tell the story, they're going to think that's Megha. Oh, that's Megha. Oh, have you heard about, oh yeah, that's Megha's story. I know Megha. Like when everybody, when they tell the Kant story, everybody knows that's Miguel. So finding that signature story, the perfect place when you broke through, the place when you transition to where you are today. So being able to help them craft their story, so when they step on stage, they can communicate with the people, but more than anything, they can touch their heart. They can engage. They can get them engaged. As I told you the other day, Moira, when you finished your class, I was engaged the whole time, which is really hard for me when I'm doing things. I turn everything off and I concentrated. Because the way you and I know, because I know your story, but the way every time you tell your story, I'm waiting for the punchline. I'm yes, that's it. So you build that anticipation where people don't get tired of listening to it, and they get something different every time you tell your story.
What a compliment! Did you hear that, Megha? He was engaged the whole time. I was like, yes.
It is. I've spoken in front of the same people many times before, but it's whatever day you wake up and you're never the same person when you tell the story, especially if you're a consciously evolving person, which means, most speakers, I think, that's one of the breakthroughs of being a speaker is to get, like we were talking. I mean, the common theme I'm hearing is just like we're giving voice to the thoughts, the concepts, the ideas that have often been sort of hushed out. And, one of the things that has been, I have people come to me and say, I don't even understand how you talk about that. And I'll talk about my childhood trauma. And I don't talk about it. One of the really, really important things, I think, if you hear this, when you hear about story, and I know that Miguel and I have talked about this and could probably riff on this for like a whole hour on its own. When you're telling story, it's different than being in your story. You are telling a story. There are people who live by their victim's story, and they could literally stand there for an hour, and if you accidentally grab one of them in a conversation at a networking event or at a conference, and they, 20 minutes later, you've got like one foot that keeps inching 1 inch away, and you're trying to leave because you're like, oh my gosh, this story is never going to end. We're not talking about that kind of story. And it's an important distinction. Don't think you're going to get up on stage and just like dump the Jerry Springer drama on the table and that's what people are going to be moved and inspired by. That's very different. So part of the reason that I work with Moira's tribe and with all the people that I work with is to detach the what happened from what you learned. And that ultimately, I think, as a speaker is what you really deliver to the stage, and how you can tell very vulnerable stories minus the trauma and drama.
I know. So. And what's really important about that, and what's coming up for me, is that you have to, for people listening and they're like, I know that I've got a story and I really want to get it out to people, but it can't be too raw. It can't be from the wind, right? Isn't this what we say? That it needs to be from the star. It needs to be from a place of healing. And I've seen people, want to tell their story and they can't because they're not ready to tell it from a place, to help other people because it hasn't really helped them or they haven't healed from it. So it's really important to realize for people that, we all have like a story to tell, and my story is your story. Miguel's story is, can be everybody's stories and many story, but if you're not, telling it from a place of, say you're healed, you're confident, you're kind of on the outside looking back on it, then, it's not the right time to tell it. And if you feel like, afraid to tell it, then just give yourself some time until, the right time. But there's nothing worse than somebody telling a story from a place where you feel like the wound is still open. Would you agree?
100%. I want to reiterate what Megha said. Don't tell your drama story. Tell your drama story, but not a sub story, a triumphant story. How do you become a triumphant person from that story? What are the steps that you took to become victorious? But if you're still stuck, if you're still suffering, keep it to yourself. Continue to work. Find a way out. And when you conquer that area of your life, then you can offer it to somebody else. Because then you're going to have a whole bunch of people stuck with you, and misery loves company, and that's not what you want. You want to take them from a place of suffering to a place of triumph.
I love that distinction, Miguel. Yes, the steps to the triumph.
Mm-hmm.
If you think you have nothing to speak about, I think that's like, use what he just said. Like, just sit there and go, I couldn't come up with a 20-minute speech. What are the steps to the triumph? Thank you, Miguel. I like that.
I love that. That's a writer diner, folks. That's why we love him. Brilliant. So, Megha, tell us, what would you say are some of the, the biggest blocks that come up for people when it comes to speaking? Because the type of speaking that I've been training people on, especially all week, is how they're going to make multiple six figures, or have their first 10K month using it as a marketing tool, right? And I know that for many entrepreneurs that I'm kind of pushing out there, they're like, no, it's not going to work for me. Like, so much stuff comes up. Can you speak to some of the things that start coming up for people when they're in that position?
There's popcorn, like which piece? The very first thing, since we're talking about six figure, that's the word I'm going to go to. People don't believe oftentimes that they actually are worthy and deserving of the acknowledgement, the money, the peace, the love, the whatever, the worthiness piece, because so many people are carrying some sort of agreement that says, I'm not worthy. And if you have the most amazing speech that could move 20,000 people to the back of the room and buy what you're offering and transform their lives, or they sign up for your $25,000 coaching or your $50,000, $100,000 VIP day or whatever, if you don't think you're worthy to receive the compensation that is awaiting you, the divine compensation, because I think it's beyond money. Many times people are just like trying to crunch a number. Money flows. It comes fast. It goes fast. It comes slow. It goes fast. Like whatever the case might be. The thing is that most people are not actually ready to receive the six figures. That's the real kicker that ultimately sabotages a lot of people. So I'd say worthiness.
Wow. Writing that one down too. Write it down. And it's a great question to ask yourself, and like when you ask yourself that truly, like, how does it feel? And I guess, for me starting out, if you had asked me that like 7 years ago, I would have been like, no, I'm just going to do this and see what happens, right? I never really set out to, obviously I had a dream, but I never actually got on stage and actually thought that was going to make the dream come true. But getting on multiple stages and never giving up and getting good and, speaking all over the country and then all over the world, that got me there. But asking myself that question, I probably would have been like, yeah, whatever. No way. No, it's not gonna happen.
I might want to add on a little nuance to that, and that is that you have to be worthy enough to ask for the speaking opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So your worthiness can start really early. Like you could take Moira's course, you can get Moira's private coaching, you can go hire 50,000 different speakers, coaches, join the national speakers. You can do all that. If you're not worthy to receive the opportunity, you could ask all day long and you won't get a yes. Moira, you were, even if you were like, oh, I'm not really sure, 7 years ago, I just said, oh, what the hell, here we are, let's do this. Inside of you at a subconscious level, worthiness was riding on you, on your tires, or you would have never have been able to receive and continue to receive it. And that's the flip side of worthiness, is receiving. And many times people don't actually know how to receive. They pray with closed fists. And
I like that.
You don't get anything. It's like rain on a windshield. Okay, here it is. Oh, you missed it.
Yeah, so true. Because when I asked, and during the challenge or before the challenge, what's your biggest problems when it comes to speaking, I would say 70% it was finding the gigs and asking for them.
Yeah.
Versus, I've got them, but I'm not making money from them. Right. That was the main one. And for me, what I see with the people that I work with, especially the entrepreneurs, it is actually finding the gigs that is actually the hardest part for them. So that's a really good point. And I'm thinking like how I overcame that. I got on such a mission. It was just like, what for me, it was like, because I was starting in such a small town here in Ireland, in Donegal. It's not even a townland, let's call it, in a county with 60,000 people. It was an hour's drive to go to a networking event. I got obsessed with finding places. I was just like, there's nothing here. And then I thought, oh my God, there's so much going on here. And I just kept getting one opportunity after another. But most of the time it was like a trail where it was like one was leading to the other, or I would speak in one place and they'd be like, oh, have you heard of this place? Or do you know this person? So really it's about getting those first 2 or 3 gigs, I think, isn't it? And feeling worthy enough of those. So on that note, Megha, how long, or, what does it take to solve that or eradicate that unworthiness feeling when it comes to getting on stages and asking for it?
It can take a day. It can take a day, it can take 5 years. It depends on how ready your soul is to actually stand in the spotlight that you're born to stand in. It's where you're ready to shift. I have people, and I now have multiple, I'm really going to create a community of these people having miracles go on in their life. Literally, I have seen people in a session, one session, not even multiple, 6 months later. I'm not like a therapist. Don't sit back and go, how do you feel today? I have watched people decide they are done, or decide they are ready, and make quantum shift movement in 24 hours. It is as long as you think it's going to take. And that's, I've watched it. I get the blessing of being the person who gets to facilitate people having the miracles that they desire. And I will tell you that people really committed to struggle, it takes them years. No matter how much they spend, they just keep trucking along. They got to work hard. If you believe that you have to work hard, it will be hard work.
Oh,
if you believe it's available, you open your arms, you say, universe, God, I am ready. You stand on those stages with your arms open. I am ready. It can come really fast.
Avalanche.
Yeah.
I love this conversation. Yesterday in the morning, one of my guys from one of my groups asked me to pray for his wife. They found that she has a tumor in his brain. So then they did further studies, and they found that she has brain cancer. So as I was meditating and praying before I got on the phone with him, this is what I heard. Goliath did not get killed with a stone. What killed Goliath was the faith in which that stone was thrown. The same thing when we ask for a speaking gig. It's not how we speak, it's the faith in which we ask, the energy in which we ask for that speaking gig.
That's good. Say that again. I want you to repeat that. Everybody,
welcome to our TED Talk.
What are you doing? Listen to this. Just say it again, Miguel. I love it.
When David, if you a little bit knowledge of the Bible, when David killed Goliath, it was one stone. When he picked up 5 stones, the first stone that he threw, he killed the Goliath. That was his giant at the moment. And maybe your giant is asking for that gig. It was not the stone that killed Goliath. It was the faith in which that stone was thrown that killed Goliath. The same thing when you pick up the phone. It's not how you ask. It is in the energy that you're standing that at that moment. The faith in which you ask is what's going to get you that speaking gig.
Amen.
And the church said amen.
And this is the point. Are you allowed to say bad words here?
We usually do along the way.
This is the point where religiosity and spirituality have conflict. I'm a very spiritual man. I'm not a religious man. The 2 most powerful words that I have heard in my life, the 2 most powerful words, it was motherfucker and God in the same sentence.
Say more. We gotta know. Now we are all leaning in now.
and it set me free. What happened? I went to an event, next level event, this powerful guy that is doing this crazy stuff. And he's asking, who prays every day? I raised my hand. Who asks God for more energy, more power, more knowledge every day? And less people are raising their hands. And I keep raising my hand. And so he comes in front of me and he goes, so you pray every day, Miguel? Yes. And Miguel, and God gives everything you ask for every day. Yes. And you ask for energy every day. Yes. And you ask him for money every day. Yes. And you're struggling financially. Yes. And so he goes, you know what God is telling you? I said, no, he listens to my prayers. He stopped listening a long time ago. God is telling me to tell you, motherfucker, you come here every single day and asking for the same shit every single day. You think I'm a fucking liar? You think I don't give it to you the first time that you ask me for it? Stop being a little bitch. Go out there and be the man of God that I call you to be. Everything changed. Everything shifted.
You were like, oop.
Right? Talk about being, and I went back and I talked to my pastor and I said, Pastor, I've been here in your church for 15 years and you preach the best sermons. I have learned so much. But this weekend I heard 2 words that set me free forever. I said, well, praise God. What is it, son? I said, motherfucker and God in the same sentence. He started out laughing. He goes, let me tell you something. Whatever it takes, God will use a donkey to speak to you. God will use whatever it takes to set you free. See, and this is the part where most people shrink back. They don't want to talk about their faith. They don't want to talk about their belief. Because what am I going to push people out? Good. I want those people that are not meant to work with me to get sift out and move on to somebody else that's going to be able to help you, because obviously I don't have what you need. Yes. And the ones that stay, those are the ones that are going to work with me.
Yeah. I think that if we at our whatever we're inviting people into, because obviously if we're speaking, we're inviting them to somewhere, something that we're doing, whether it's the book we wrote, the group we're in. You don't want to have to tiptoe through your own house. We don't invite people into your house that you don't want there. Mm-hmm. Why is it any different in your business? I know people who have 7-figure businesses and have 10 clients, right? Like, it is not about trying to please everybody. Get over that. That is the people pleasing thing is the fear of rejection, which is a big one, which is probably tied to that ultimate why speaking is one of the biggest fears that there is. And Miguel, you disappeared just to over there. Okay. But I always just say to people, I'm like, they're like, well, so-and-so won't approve of it. I'm like, great, send them away, give them a card, say adios, whatever. Like, get people out of your sphere if they keep you from playing at 100% of who you are. Just set them free. And honestly, don't read all the commentaries. And if you do, just be like, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, and prepare yourself, because the bigger your tribe gets, the bigger your following gets, the more stages you get on. Not everybody is going to love you. Not everybody's going to love what you say. So you've got to be ready for that too.
And let me make this clear. I don't speak like that. That was the guy's style. They helped me move on, but that's not my style. But I can be very hard. I can be tough, but with the intention to build you up, with the intention to give you the solution, with the intention to take it there. Just like Suzanne Evans, when she said, "Are you ready? I'm about to love you," and she's about to let them have it. But and she get criticized a lot. But to be honest with you, that's my type of people. That's why I was so fond of both of them, because that's how I learned, and that I invested a lot of money in their programs, because that will help me to get where I'm at today. I was their ideal client. So
and you were able to take it.
And if I can share, remember earlier I talked about not speaking your victim's story. The transformation that literally set the tone for my life and the track that I am on today came from somebody leaning in, because again, back to, I don't speak like this usually. It's like, to know me is to know I might say this along the way. And I went up to this facilitator, and I had my story together, because the story was, I had to release that in order to change my life and to be a stand in the world, that I had to release the story that I had been so attached to. And she says, you have to go forgive and release that person from the attachment that you have to the story that you're telling about them. And I marched up there and I said, you don't know what happened to me. And I was so righteous, and it had always worked. Every person that I had ever told the story to was polite enough to just let me keep living in my own bullshit. And the thing is that she leaned in. Now, this is, the price of admission. She leaned in and she says, and specifically, I was childhood sexual abuse trauma. She leaned in and she says, I don't give a fuck what happened to you when you were a kid. I understand it hurt. But if you decide that you want to keep being raped for the rest of your life, keep telling that story. Yes. Or change your story. And I was like, I want a refund. And then after my indignation and my ego settled down long enough for my higher self to go, she's right. And I went, I have been walking around my entire adult life. I was 32 years old when that breakthrough conversation happened. And that's the thing. She wasn't worried about whether or not she said something that she may or may not get approval for. She stood where she stood. She said what she said. She didn't cuss the whole rest of the event, right? It was not like she was walking around with fish mouth the whole time. No, she said that to me, and it was the breakthrough. And understand that that's the thing about your speaking. Your speaking, which if you mute one thing that you would say if you didn't think somebody would disapprove, might be the thing that saves someone's life. It might be the thing that transforms someone's bank account or their marriage or whatever. So don't be afraid to lean in and speak truth into the world.
Hell yeah.
Now we're talking.
And just to go on, Miguel.
But you see how my story gave Megha the permission to tell her, and you were having a conversation, and I was drawn to your story. I was drawn, and I see the lady in the stage, and I see on the microphone sharing your story, and she's just letting you have it. I was I was drawn to it, and you painted the picture so good in my. So, but it took me being free with my story to allow you the permission to tell your story so freely. You didn't. There was no holdback. You just spoke about it.
Yeah,
and that's the freedom that we want to offer people when we get on stage. Not whether they buy or not. See, and I know that you teach on sales, and that's all good. But if we tell a story in such a way that they experience something, we're selling experiences. People want to buy experiences. People will remember how you make them feel, not what you gave them. How you make them feel when you gave it to them, when you share with them. I used to sell fresh fruit drinks, and I was selling for $20 at 16 ounces. And my boss told me, the guy that I was in business with, he goes, "You're a Mexican Jew. You're ripping off your own people." And I said, "Why?" He goes, "Wow, how can you sell them so expensive?" I said, "I don't sell fresh fruit drinks. I sell experiences. When they take a sip of that water, they're back in Mexico. They can taste it. They can savor their town. That's what they buy from me, experiences." So when we are able to sell an experience, people will come time after time after time. There was families that will come in groups, like 10 people, and they will pay $200 just for get drinks, more expensive than beer.
Wow.
When you sell them an experience, they'll keep coming back for more.
Hey, this is just like a mic drop night. I love it. I love it. And just to go back to what you were saying, about faith in your business, I think that at the bottom line and at the core of this is that people are struggling to believe in what they're doing, and they're waiting for other people to give them some sort of approval or some sort of sign that that's it, you're on the right track. But unless you show up and really believe in what you're doing, then nobody else will. So asking for speaking gigs, asking people to work with you, putting yourself out there, posting on Facebook. If there's something in you that is not believing in that, then people are just, the energy around that, people are they're going to see through it. And when you do believe in what you're doing, you've got this natural enthusiasm. And I think that's, going back to, when I started, I really believed in what I was doing. I really believed that I could help people. I really believed that people were struggling to make money and struggling with selling. And I was just like, this doesn't have to be that hard. I can show you this can be easier. And I really believed that. I'm not saying I necessarily believed in what that would cause in my life, but I certainly believed on the cause or the impact that would have on somebody, or if they would take on board in what I was saying. So, thinking back about, I had faith in that. So therefore, when I was asking someone who didn't know me and I had no profile, I had no followers, I barely had a website. If I could come and speak at their event, because I knew I could help people in that audience get more sales and get more clients and help their lives, they were like, okay, yeah, they did. Because I know that people always say, well, we need the side reel or the show reel, and we need the copy to be right on our websites, and we need all these fancy things. And I'm just actually, no. You don't. And like in this conversation, I was like, you need to have things right, but there has to be faith in what you're doing and faith in believing in, what you have to offer people.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Well, this has been an absolutely beautiful conversation. I wanted to have this conversation for everybody who's been part of the challenge for the last 5 days. This is Miguel Sanchez, master storyteller, who works with me, and also Megha Bradley, all about helping you unlock and release all of those blocks that are helping or stopping you from being as big as you could be and having all of the abundance that you want in your life. And together, this is my dream team. So we're all out for helping entrepreneurs build a top-tier income from speaking and a lifestyle they love and anything else. But before that, it's about helping them become fearless, taking to the stage with that message and story, and knowing that what they're doing is going to help people, it's going to impact people. And as Miguel always says, if you can have impact, Miguel,
the income will follow.
The income will follow. And that's what we're out to do. So thank you so much, guys, for taking time out on your Saturday for this. I could actually sit here and talk to you all evening, but Gary Gleason is saying hi. So Richard has been tuning in. Farah from India has been tuning in. Emma's been tuning in. Say hi to Emma. Who else? I can't really, StreamYard is really difficult. It doesn't really show you, but thank you guys for tuning in. If you're watching the replay, hashtag the replay. If you've got questions for these amazing people, ask them, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to be doing a Q&A in the group. I won't see everybody on Facebook, but the people who are in my challenge, I will see you. So lots of love. Have a beautiful Saturday. Do you guys want to say goodbye to everybody?
Absolutely.
Megha, go ahead.
just remember that your life purpose is pulling you forward. And when you lean into it, all of this becomes really easy to do. So take care.
There's scripture on the Bible that says the whole creation is waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God to show up. So the thing is, show up. The whole creation is waiting for your message. The whole creation is waiting for you to show up and share what God has given you and fulfill your purpose. So don't be afraid to show up.
Show up already, guys. Show up.
Thank you for your time, and Moira for bringing us together.
Thank you very much, both of you.
You're welcome.
Awesome
And
conversation.
in my challenge, I would love to see if you guys would be bold enough to do a video of yourselves and share your biggest take, because I know there's a few of you here. Gary, Farah, I'd love to know. That would be seriously showing up. Have the faith. Let's hear what you've got to say. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye, guys. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.